Okay. So thank you, Dr. Shaji, for taking up this enterprise. It is actually very important because there is a dynamism in the history, bringing together, transforming the humanity into a fraternal, universal fraternity and a friendship, friendship, like that, uniting humanity. And so this kind of forming a homeopathy fraternity is really worth congratulating. So it is good that you are taken initiative in this, and not only you, all the other doctors, Dr. Ismail said, and others. And another thing I want to tell about, I thank God, as Dr. Hahnemann was a very religious man. He believed in God, and very often he mentions that homeopathy is a gift of God to humanity. And I am certain about it. See, God is working behind the whole movement in history, and man is evolving towards a higher conscious level. In the last part of the one, I will explain that in detail. I put the title towards homeopathy towards a higher stage of medical evolution. In the history of medical evolution, we find primitive health care with a lot of superstitions. Gradually, it was more refined and became scientific. And finally, you might have heard about the distant healing. This is a very important phenomenon among the alternative systems of medicine. And distant healing is studied in detail by many universities in America and other places. And from there, they came to the point that consciousness is the fulcrum of health. And the whole healing power behind that is love. And according to my understanding of the whole reality, or the fundamental reality is love. According to each religion, different aspect is there, but God is love. It is the love which is the ultimate principle or the force that is working. So love is energy, and energy is transformed into matter. And in the border area of Switzerland, scientists are trying to find out that boson particle which changed the energy into matter. And gradually, then matter is used for forming the whole universe. And finally, this year's Nobel Prize given to scientist Penrose and other two scientists for finding out the black hole. There is black hole in the universe as well as black hole in every galaxy. And finally, the matter will be dissolved back to energy, and energy is absorbed into the black hole. And Stephen Hawking spoke about there is again a Big Bang will take place. There is no energy is preserved, but it takes different forms. So like that, there is a new heaven and earth, or the whole new Big Bang will be there. And so we are evolving to that stage. People who have become in the conscious level. The Theodore Chardin, one of the great scientists who worked in China, who was there in the painting of Peking Man, he and there is Sri Arabindo of Pondicherry. For these great people's insight is the man is evolving into truth consciousness. And in that level, the fact that is found out in the consciousness has a great role in healing, and the love is made expansive through consciousness, and it travels with more speed than light to other people. So as doctor, as a homeopathic doctor, medicine alone is not enough. There should be love spreading through him to the patient. And when the love is growing, each person, according to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it is told that man has got the hierarchy of needs. Basically, the physical needs, then comes to for security or home, and then comes for love and esteem, and still goes further to need for fulfillment. So in that level, man is evolving, has to evolve towards that higher stage of evolution as the universe is evolving towards energy. So that way, is homeopathy as a medicine which is free of inert matter and giving to and the energy level medicine. This homeopathy is evolving towards a higher stage of medical evolution. That is why I gave the title. What is ahead is I take three main points. See, as Dr. Shaji told, while I joined homeopathy, I had no faith. Till fourth year of BHMS, I used to go to Trivandrum Medical College for my own treatment. So, also my understanding the attitude of other students, I made a thorough study of the existing literature, read widely, and then I approached the Trivandrum College of Social Sciences. Principal was my classmate in Pune for studying the theology. And so I requested his help and made a study of homeopathy. And then they came to the conclusion that India, being a country of poor and spirituality, is a very good ground for homeopathy to become very successful. And as yesterday, Dr. Isaac told, so it is already in the second position in the whole world, but the first position in India. Naturally, Indian people are more spiritual, not so material as Western world. And so spirituality, and as we have got the greatest, the founder of nation as Mahatma Gandhi, he is also in this life. So India is blessed with so many blessings, and like that, because of the spirituality of Indian people. And so homeopathy has got a great future in India. And so I mentioned all this. So while studying about homeopathy, I found that there are a lot of literature in especially Europe doing a critique of conventional medicine. I collected some points from that, and that is what I'm going to present in the first part. Then another thing is characteristics of homeopathy. It's unique aspects in this healing technique. And then third point comes to the process of healing. This is also, it has to be understood properly. Then only we understand the greatness and the nobility of homeopathy. And I'm going to explain that. In the epilogue, I bring to certain insights into the importance of homeopathy later. So I go to the first part, towards the critique of conventional medicine. Critique means we have to see the benefits and the limitations. Without that, it will not be complete. So tremendous development in diagnostic aspect. You all know that the latest development PET scan and fMRI, through which we can read the functions of brain and the consciousness. Through functional MRI, they have found that in the brain there is a circuit, neural circuit, and exchanging signals, and all that is taking place in the brain from their consciousness. Consciousness, mind, and qualia, all these are part of spiritual aspect of the brain. Brain is a material aspect, but it has got a higher function, and that comes all these three: the mind, consciousness, and qualia. And these are all being very much research is going on to find out that, because conventional medicine itself started understanding the limitations of healing by it. And that way, even lot of research is being done by the effect of prayer, then effect of consciousness, all that. So a lot of studies is done. So from there, the tremendous development in, so that kind of instruments are used. Then remarkable cures, we know about about that. Then sophisticated techniques in surgery and therapeutics, control of major infectious diseases, then improved social and preventive medicine like genetic engineering, and then other methods now used for prevention like vaccination and other things. Then reduction in mortality and prolonged life expectancy. These are some of there are so many other things. Then, of course, we cannot ignore the limitations when we analyze that. So, one point is the possible errors in investigation and diagnosis. There are people come to me and tell that I have gone to so many places, very important places, but they could not diagnose my disease. And then finally, some say that the doctor told me that we have nothing to do. So that was a very painful experience among the patients. This kind of things are being shared with me. So then another thing is uncertainty in safety of therapeutic procedures. After a surgery, what is going to happen? We do not know. And then there are so many side effects in that. Then comes the adverse reactions of drugs and frequent banning of drugs. If you look at the Gazette time to time, you find the list of drugs banned. And then adverse reactions. The adverse reactions of drugs by Oxford University, this one, in that it is meant 40% of adverse reactions are recorded that in the previous edition. The latest edition I have not seen. Then misuse of healthcare and using rising cost. See, few days back, I forget his name. He wrote one person, and that he was telling about that it has become a medical industry. Economic profit is become more important than the communicating love to humanity. And or the health is a gift, but it is used as a commodity or for a business, and that is very unfortunate happening. And as a result, rising cost, the poor and the rural people find it very difficult. And actually, see, since I do charitable health care, so many people comes who are very poor, and for them it is a great help even during this lockdown time. They come, I give some 30 or 20 rupees medicine, so they don't get anywhere, and some of them thank for that. Sometimes they give them more money, but I don't take. So that is why the majority of Indians are poor. That is another aspect, because homeopathy become popular in India. And then another point, microbial resistance. You might have heard about the superbug and other things. When they tested the intestines of an Asian patient, they found a superbug, and they cannot find any antibiotic in order to control that. And microbial resistance is a very important point discussed in among the conventional medicine. Then another thing is limited success in chronic ailments like cancer and other. Of course, more and more research is being done, and there is improvement. But at the same time, basically, there are a lot of limitations in the success of chronic ailments. Then dissatisfaction with the doctor-patient relationship. This is a very important factor compared to the homeopathy. The greatest strength of homeopathy is this dissatisfied and this doctor-patient relationship. Dear doctors and homeopathists, remember this. This is a very important fact. Later on, I will explain the relevance of this patient relationship. Relationship is that heal. As I told in the beginning, communicating love, concern, and real concern for the humanity without giving importance to money, that heals the people. So our treatment become more effective. This is my personal experience. No, even if though we are not very expert in finding out the remedy and treating, that approach about there was a research done by the British media, and they found when they studied homeopathy, they found the most important factor for homeopathy is this doctor-patient relationship, which is not existing in other systems of medicine usually. Then, of course, materially mindset. Everything tested in the lab, only reality. But around 1,400 crores of years past about that is the age of universe. And what we know about all what happened. So with this, in this limited period, with our 3-pound supercomputer, what can we understand about the whole universe? And so there is evolution even in the understanding of universe. First about the quantum theory, then comes to the superstring theory, then later on comes to the holographic theory, then comes information theory, then plasma theory. So many things are coming in order to explain the whole universe. So man's knowledge is relative. We can't be exaggerate the present findings. There are so many things going to be found out later. Recently, I read a physicist, Italian physicist, challenging the quantum theory and the energy is the basis of universe. The electromagnetic energy field theory. So that is the condition. So materialistic mindset is very dangerous, and it cannot lead better service to humanity based on that itself. There are so many things which are beyond our intelligence, and that way. Then critical attitude of present generation. As I mentioned, so many people come back after going to all type of treatment, and they don't have confidence. So reduction in confidence and popularity is coming. That is what happening even in United States, and that is why the growing interest in TSCM, traditional and complementary medicine. But because of lack of standardized educational system, and because of using latest scientific techniques, so-called scientific techniques, it has not gained popularity. But then there are a lot of criticism about the modern scientific techniques, because the leading the present understanding of the reality, and there is a person, Thomas Kuhn. His book is a bestseller in America, and he is telling all research findings or the building of science, it has got defects, so they have to go on changing the theories and understanding of the reality. And one point he mentions that there is an attempt to make the evidence fit the theory. So that is the condition. So we can't fully understand and explain and about this. So there is a growing interest in traditional and complementary medicine, especially in Europe. Now, coming to the characteristics of homeopathy, it is there are some negative points also. When we critique, we have to accept our limitations also. There are many things I don't want you all know. Then I have talked with different people, what is their opinion about this one. So standardized criticism is lack of proper education. Even a post-tuition can make a homeo doctor, and there is no thorough training. Most of the medical college doesn't have enough of patients to study well, and that kind of thing is a standardized criticism. Then another thing is like use of the scientific, so-called scientific techniques. Though it is it is not everything. So then another thing is the taking time is important. People who are ordinary, people who are very busy and hurry about everything, they want immediately the time effectiveness. Cost effectiveness is okay, because these are standards used for proving the medical system or evaluating medical system. So according to that, time effectiveness is the problem in homeopathy. People have no patience to wait for that. Then another thing is people need more than average IQ in order to find out a remedy. And another thing is people are not able to express who they are. When we ask details, in Malayalam they say, I have only headache. So they don't want, they themselves do not know who are there. So the homeopathy doctor should be both a psychologist and a doctor. Then only we can do. And this, through this doctor-patient relationship, he has to go into the deeper into the person, and with genuine love, disinterested love and care. So that like that. Anyway, there is all are not of that standard of that IQ and other things. So there are limitations. Like there are so many things I don't want, you all know about it. Then we come to the positive aspect, as you know, this also I need to explain much, cure by similarity. Dr. Hahnemann used the Francis Bacon's inductive method for studying. So he is scientific. In his time, he is very scientific. He used scientific technique to observe people, nature, and when he observed nature, he found that nature uses this principle, and there were nature has made, or God has made so many medicines in order to help humanity with the same psychology of each person. So that way he understood all this, and then only thing is because of the lack of consistency in the result, he went on researching on the new original methodology of proving. Unlike other sciences use, he used originally. He proved it and found out. So in his own time, he is a scientist. He is definitely. And that way, he follows the nature principle. Then medicinal, and there are also this people like Hippocrates, then Paracelsus, an Italian, I think, physician who was using this before Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. And there are then folk medicine used it, and like that. So he is a very intelligent observer of all these things, and he brought out the principle of similar principle. Then in medicinal similar psychology is given by God in order to help humanity, and similar pathology and curing power in which can be used in humans and other organisms. Then it is a novel, stable methodology. Hahnemann's methodology is stable because proving in healthy human beings. I say it is stable because compared to the conventional medicine, see, there is always change in the attitude or the reasons, causation of disease and other things, even the use of drugs and other things. In homeopathy, drugs are added to the existing list. There is no banning of drugs. Then use of potentized single medicine in minimum dose or remedy acting dynamically. See, this is the novel and the stable and very up-to-date and evolved system of medicine. Because without, in order to avoid side effects, adverse reactions, he made this potentized medicine. So without harming the human body, without polluting the human body with chemicals, this goes into the very essence of human nature, the image of God in man, and it acts on that, his consciousness level, in his soul level. See, when we study in detail about the vital force, that term used, it is similar to soul in the writings of Aristotle. Aristotle, the greatest philosopher of Greek tradition, he speaks about the soul. So, Hahnemann, he knew all these things. So, his in modern terms, he used vital force, but it's actually soul. So, this medicine goes act in the soul of the person. So, that is a great, better evolved type of treatment, because every disease starts from that. Yeah, this is all you know. So, then no banning of drugs and new medicines are added in homeopathy. Then idiosyncratic reaction of organisms and medicine. See, there is a research into the reaction of goods. Even the immunity cells and other things have got a each person's reaction to stimuli is different. So also with each organism. So this idiosyncrasy is part of the nature. You might have heard the chaotic theory. Then observer effect, so many things. Observer effect is one limitation of the quantum this one. So finally, that is all the very details. I have no time to explain that. Then doctor-patient relation, as I told, it is most striking factor of homeopathy. Alternative Health Guide by Iglis and Ruth West, 1983. In that book, it is they made a research into the study of whole system of medicine, and they found that doctor-patient relationship is the greatest asset of homeopathy. That is why that has to be stressed, not medicine alone. That later on I tell you. Then combining remedy action and self-healing. This is a self-healing is the God-given power in human body. Body heals itself. There is a very powerful, complicated system of self-healing in human body, like immunity power, reticular endothelial system, and then all these immunity system, all that. That way, it is combining remedy. Because we are human beings and material mindset, we need some material help in order to promote, in order to increase the faith in the patient. So medicine also needed. This is my experience, I know. We give some medicine, so that both are combined in homeopathy. There is this is a holistic system. Faith and psychic healing, mesmerism, all this Hahnemann himself established homeopathy as a holistic system. And there are so many aphorisms connected with that, you know about that. Then, so these are the some introduction. Then the process of healing. It is a very important point. That is, first of all, I started with the doctor-patient relationship, how the healing takes place through this relationship. As that British journal told about, see, at least minimum half an hour is used with the patient. That is very important, because every human being craves for love, to love and acceptance and esteem. Today morning I went to a institution where mental patients are looked at to give prayer for them. So while returning, the staff of one man came to me with, and then he was telling, all these mental patients crave for love. If you go to them and personally meet them and show love and respect and give some kind of what is called mesmerism, this one in Malayalam we call it talodal, and then they release a kind of express relief in them. So every human beings, and when I show some love and affection after the prayer, they come to me for a kind of sign of affection and love. They're so happy. Even if they are mentally ill, they crave for love. This is the greatest need of human being. And there comes the relationship communicates love. Unless a homeo doctor communicates love, love means it is not a kind of feeling level or sexual level, but it is a deep, selfless, unconditional love based on respect for a human being and organism. Because there is a divinity in them. There is Aham Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi. Upanishadic literature come to that stage, that Tattvamasi. People go to Sabarimala in order to realize that, but nowadays it has become a not simply because of Romanism. So that the person inside is that is the image of God. So God is love. So the human beings come from that source of love. So they crave for that love and they want to go back to that love. So goal of man's life is going back to the love of infinite love, which is pure, selfless, unconditional. That only will satisfy and heal that. Now in consciousness, the love is communicated through consciousness, and that goes deeper into the patient, and that heals. This we cannot ignore. It is a lot of readings and with conviction I tell you. without a kind of business type hobby practice will not help. That is not complete. We hear about so many doctors state, but there is a limitation even in homeo treatment. People don't get ideal cure is not very, the percentage of ideal cure is very less, because maybe one reason is that we are business type, we are going to become business type. So this personal relationship, interviewing the patient with real concern and that respect for that human, trying to listen to the inner. See, in the social communication, there is no hurry. Everybody here and they are ready to talk. They are never ready to listen. So empathetic listening is very important in order to bring out the inner aspect of every human being. And so it is important, and that way consciousness is the fulcrum of health, is a deeper meaning. And especially latest research in this distant healing used by alternative this complementary system, they studied they made a deeper research into that, and they found that consciousness is working in distant healing. Consciousness is expanded through love to the organs. And there is another experiment done in see, even the organisms like bacteria and other lower level organisms, if a person with, see, very concrete example, a coconut tree near the kitchen produces a lot of coconut, because the mother of the family, she always put some kind of this waste everything to one coconut which is near the kitchen. So that produces more. And then a Bengali scientists have found, they have found some instruments even, that plants have sensitivity to feelings. And when we pour hot water into the plant, see, it is pained so much. So this way, so there is a human beings with genuine concern and love can even heal the organisms. Then another interesting point in this, there is to see that Alexis Carrel, the Nobel Prize winner for vascular surgery, a French scientist, he was very atheistic and without faith. Later on, he became very changed. Then he went to the Lourdes. He studied the miracles taking place there. And finally, he was telling that prayer has, I have seen with my test that the prayer, a prayer with genuine concern and respect and love for the healing, the healer can definitely produce change in that. And there is a, so that way, then true doctor-patient relationship with love and concern, he can bring about the spiritual health of us. See, man needs love, respect. So when the love is given to the patient, he finds, he gets joy in life, peace in life. And then for me, we have this feeling, the guilt feelings of person. And there are research telling about spiritual stresses in man, like guilt feelings and precautions and other things. And so the spiritual aspect is healed through this loving concern. And that way, total health, spiritual health is achieved by that. That also takes place through this relationship. Then psychological healing. See, there are a lot of research telling that depression reduce the T cells and these killer cells, natural killer cells, T cells, and even cytokines and all that. So depression has got a great effect on immunity system. So also hatred and revenge, if we keep that has a destructive this one in the immunity system. Then fear is a great, fear also is a poison for human beings. So all these negative emotions are very dangerous for human beings. That create disorder in the immunity system. That is a clear example of this COVID-19 phenomenon. So people without with this kind of fear complex created by media, and that created a lot of harm to the people. Every day news, so many people died there, so many people died there. This is what the issue here. So people are terribly frightened. This fear is dangerous. It destroys immunity system. See, sixth March, there was an article in Manorama telling about comparing between COVID spreading in United States and India. So he was telling, he's a great, I forget the name because I am old age. So he is telling, this has brought about the immunity, the importance of immunity in treating, in facing this pandemic. So, see, this relation, you can rebuild rebuild the immunity system, and that is bring about healing. So spiritual healing, then psychological healing, that I told. So it is a psychological catharsis taking through this relationship in order to bring confidence into building positive emotions and build up positive emotions and support their health. So psychological health means a man is made into positive emotions and catharsis of these negative emotions. There's a great effect on healing. As we know the theory behind, then communication of love, faith, hope into human beings through this relationship. That is important. Then what is it? Removal of spiritual stress, I mentioned. There is spiritual stress causing illness to the soul, the spiritual aspect of man, because he goes against his conscience very often, because of these addictions to certain pleasures of life. Then there is in the NIMHANS, there is research on alcoholics. So when I was studying in Father Muller's doing MD, they came took a class for us. Then they showed the MRI recording, alcoholic, how he get into craving. Even we see the board of liquor shop, immediately his brain, they showed that certain parts of pleasure centers in brain get stimulated, and they go for searching for this. So that kind of addictions, other than they are guilty also. Addictions, then this kind of going against conscience because of attraction towards money and other pleasures of life. These are all destroy the spiritual health. So we, through our relationship, we can correct all that to a certain extent. Of course, the addiction need 3 years treatment. That is what they say. At least 3 years treatment. Very easily we can by intuition told it cannot, because of deep brain adaptation taken place to that pleasure giving substance. That communicate love, faith in himself. When we, with love and genuine concern, talk with the patient, he gets faith in himself and faith in the power of healing and all that. Then he is given hope that there is future. Because depression, suicide, and other things can be removed with our interesting, that personal love. Then, remove the spiritual stress. Then empathetic listening, I told empathetic listening, that is psychological technique from Freud onwards, they are using empathetic listening. This is what lacking in the modern society. Nobody has time to listen. They want to go on speaking. Even if you speak to somebody, they want to speak. They don't want to listen. So this homeopathy, it is part of the system. Though we are also of same nature, we are forced to listen empathetically. Then empathetic listening is important. That is very important in psychology. Then counseling. When we are not experts in counseling, we somehow or other help them to correct their information distortion. See, cause of disease is information distortion about themselves, about the other things like fear and other things. So we correct that information distortion. Then it creates, then it brings about psychological catharsis, as I told, of negative emotions. Then the trust, they bring trust to the another human being, and that helps for healing. And then correction of information. Okay. So then we go to the this potentized medicine. What is the how it is healing? See, as I told, we are material human beings, not pure spirits, pure consciousness. We need some material help, and that is given through without harming, without chemical pollution to the human body. This is one of the greatest danger to them. As we pollute the soil, water, atmosphere, and even the global warming, everything is managed. And in the history, we find that about 21 civilizations existed on the face of the earth, all destroyed. Now it is of interest to the archaeologists only that nothing is remaining. Recently, one lady was talking about the pre-Incas period, and then this one Greek civilization, Roman civilization, Egyptian civilization, Chinese civilization, Peruvian civilization, Brazilian civilization. So many civilizations came up, and so development, if it not goes to the extreme, it will destroy finally. That is the so we. In that level, I am telling to the homeopathy goes to the evolutionary stage. And so, healing, in what is, how it is. See, let us research on potential medicine in America, then one university in Andhra Pradesh, all these I have read, everything I could not explain now. So it is told, it is, and even Mitrulkas told about that. There is a healing information carried through structural transformation of the media. See, even if in nanoparticle we see, I think Dr. Rajendran has told that it is most probably the atom of carbon or oxygen. But then it changes. There is an observer effect in the modern scientific world about that. A very important principle, observer effect. I cannot explain now, no time. Then chaotic theory. And then this Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Then Crompton effect. All these, when you put together, then chaotic theory, and then cybernetics, all these findings shows that there is a probability. We cannot tell them. So probability. So in that, then quantum tunneling. So all these you can understand how healing information carried through structural transformation of the media. And if we reflect on that, this carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, these are all the basic atoms used for the origin of life. There are 7, 8 theories of original life. So in that, they explain this, how these atoms come to molecule and molecule become, and finally life started. It is of course, but I believe it is all source is love. Love created life, and life has to return back to love. Anyway, that is according to each religion, they have different faiths, so I don't question all these things. So anyway, this is, so freedom, so that way, then another, this one, how homeopathy potential medicine work is not only this, so latest theory about water theory. Of course, the same thing only. So the healing information is communicated, and there are so many other theories supporting that. That healing information is carried through the structure, and that comes, and then this goes into the ultimate level of human body functioning in the atomic and subatomic level, and then it goes even work the methylation and the epigenesis and all that works through, and even when it can, then another thing is it can stimulate the pituitary gland and release endorphins. Endorphins is medicinal. It is a lot of things are there. You have to study all that, then only you will understand. So it can stimulate through nervous system and stimulate the pituitary gland to release endorphin, and that creates even change in the and works through principles of methylation and then epigenesis in the vector, and then gene expression can be suppressed or changed. Okay, it is getting time. Sorry. So that way it is we have to understand all that. Then release of neurotransmitters and correction of biological distortions taken place through pollution, through stress, and through many other factors. And that way, it is correcting through that way. Then freedom from chemical pollution and adverse reactions. So all this way, this is the most evolved system of medicine in that when you consider all that. Then finally come to the conclusion. One is annihilation of disease and restoration of health, the highest and the only goal of physician, who knows the meaning of his calling. The patient can reach the highest purpose of his existence. All throughout I was mentioning the highest purpose of every organism, every human being, and even doctor is to go back to this love, finally, supreme love. And that is what Hahnemann means, the highest purpose of his existence. And that for us, homeo doctors, it takes place through our profession, through this community in love and through medicine to bring about the healing, help to other human beings. Self-love, there is a positive psychology. A school started with Martin Seligman and other psychologists tell about the positive psychology. Recently, someone talk also mentioned that. So, positive psychology is a positive attitude, selfless service, loving communications, and a meaningful purpose in life. All these are. So, we are the best people. We are, by our profession, we are helped to come to the positive psychology and reach the love, joy, peace, and happiness in life. Happiness in life doesn't come with money and accumulate money and all. It is through this selfless service. Then Hegel, a German philosopher, is famous, and he has told about love means to serve. Service is the means for loving, not for other all kind of things. Then yes. Another thing is, in that time, I remember about Hegel saying, every development, every progress is in a spiral form. There is a upward movement, then a drawback, and then going upward, and gradually it is going higher and higher. But it is a spiral movement in all development. If we examine the political system, the sociological systems, the healthcare and everything, there is a spiral movement towards progress. So when we find out setbacks, we do not get discouraged. See, there is a Hahnemann had a lot of problems, challenges in his life. And recently somebody was telling he had a very not like the good things we speak about. He had a lot of suffering in his life. So also now we have started this this one. It will have a lot of problem. Don't worry about that. But it is spiral movement. There will be setback, but again there is a growth. So that way go. And it is basically analyzing the history. Hegel told about that. These are all great when we cannot ignore their sayings. And so it is so taking into the Horsam 1, 9, and 17, the Hahnemann's mind is that through this system of medicine, it is a means for us to reach the higher purpose of our existence, and then restoring the health of the patient. They are also helped to use their material organism for reaching their higher purpose. They also reach back to this love. And it is a deeper principle in nature. As there is a principle of transcendence in the history of universe, starting with a single material universe, then life about 350 crores of years, then that life evolved and going ahead, transcendence. And so in that way, this and then in order to transcend, the man has to meet the higher needs of his existence. That is love, esteem, fulfillment, all that. That comes through when he is getting health. So we have to restore health. Then he is able to look for higher things in life. And so he is also going teaching his higher purpose of his evolution, his existence. That is what Hahnemann. So these three approaches are very important. And then calling of the physician, it is very important. A homeopathy doctor should understand his calling. It is a call from the source of the love, God. So it is, dear doctors, you are lucky people. By this harmless, without destroying God's creation, you help. And Dr. Ismail's, that doctor was telling about even agriculture and animals, veterinary, all this. Even the other lower organisms are helped too. So it is a great noble profession. Don't get discouraged because difficulties or lack of popularity or lack of making money and all that. No, it is not. We have another existence, purpose of our existence. We have to go aim at that. And then you'll be very happy. And you will be peaceful. You will be contented. And you will be reaching towards that love. And so that is that. Then that is for the purpose. So the basis is, I already in between I have mentioned, God is love. There is fundamental relation between love and life. If we analyze and experience with deep understanding, I tell you, there is a fundamental relation between love and life. So dear doctors, understand this. Without love, no life. Even in human life, you examine how it started. Parents' love, God's love communicated through parents, and through that we grew up, and through God's love working in creation, making food, then oxygen and water, all these promoting life. So love is behind that. And then parents' love, they are the instruments of God. And like that, love and life it is. Then towards the love we are going. So love and life, there is a fundamental relationship. And so, relationship between love and life, communicate love through holistic healthcare with genuine interest in the welfare of humanity, with the commitment, hard work, and selfless service. Modern study of homeopathy and alternate systems, and the critique of conventional medicine, great number of experts come to this conclusion that we have to, hard work is needed, selfless service and commitment is needed to this system of homeopathy. Easy-going life and without hard work control, nothing will happen. It needs hard work. Because find out the remedy itself, how many times you interview the patients, then only you don't do. So that is really selfless service. Through that you place, you are helping humanity. It's a very, very deep meaning in that. So that way, this is the life, then become meaning in life. Then, towards the end, epilogue I told about, see, I think most of the point have come. See, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann is the pioneer in the medical evolution. I hope you understand what I mean. Medical evolution is a pioneer. There are so many pioneers in that is why there is development in the everything. So that he is a pioneer, and his commitment to truth and interest in the welfare of humanity gradually led him to discover homeopathy. His commitment to truth. He is a holistic man. He read in wide reading of existing systems and isms and everything. He integrated everything and took the gem in cream of the existing paintings and he put together. He is a deeply thinking man. And above all, he had a very personal relation with the supreme love. And though love made use of him to give this gift through him. It's a wonder. No, coming generation is going to that. We understand him, he is really great in that. And someone, welfare of humanity. So he's a deep interest in the welfare of humanity. That is, I insist on the love relationship. That is why I made him to work hard. He was not discouraged. Because he trusted in God. Because he has given. So he is not, he did not go back in spite of all this. His commitment to truth. He did not go according to isms and philosophical schools and so many schools and isms. He took what is screamed in that. Studies in psycho, neuro, endocrino immunity. This is lately developed through psychosomatics. It is a branch of holistic medicine. Holistic medicine started with this research. There are so many others. I presented in my thesis for MD. So that there is no time to talk all the details. So studies in psycho, neuro, endocrino. This is what Hahnemann told about vital force. Then come to the psycho, neuro, endocrino, and immunity. This is what different axes of pituitary, then thyroid, hypothalamus, all these things. Hypothalamus and all psycho. Okay, that all you know. Then and research in consciousness. In connection with the distant healing, there are a lot of research is being done. I forgot the university is done. Recently I was reading that. there is a research in consciousness, then research in brain and its structure and its functioning. All these bring about the greatness of homeopathy. Studies in neuronal, and then psychic and faith healing. Then there is a phenomenon called extrasensory perception that Dr. Larry Dorsey, a famous physician in Texas, he has collected all the findings regarding distant healing, and he was narrating an incident. A mother runs back to home. Then he immediately look in the well, and then a child is getting drowned. So immediately she escaped. How she was not, there is no communication, but she got to the insight or that precognition. That is a that child is saved. The mother who comes back, she had gone somewhere before, but friends and comes save the child. That is why there is distant healing. It is a phenomenon. We cannot ignore that. So when I read all that, it is connected with our homeopathy. Materially, we don't give a drugs or anything, but it is healing. So it is mainly through a relationship of a homeopathic doctor, and that way, the consciousness, research into consciousness, psychic and faith healing, extrasensory perception, healing effect of mothers on their babies, healing effect of you all, doctors and nurses on their patients. See, during COVID pandemic in Europe, everywhere, they had great appreciation for nurses, especially the Kerala nurses. So many articles came out of that. It is their tender, loving care, standing with this deeply troubled patient and helping them, giving confidence, that saved the life of so many people, even great people. So that is what. So that kind of doctors and nurses on their patients, biofeedback, meditation. Now, modern conventional medicine is a lot of research on how the effect of prayer and this what is called then doctors, and then biofeedback, meditation, prayer. Alexis Carrel, as I mentioned, I think Alexis Carrel is a Nobel Prize. He went to Lourdes and examined the miracles that took place, and he there are some few only genuine cures. The rest is effect of self-limiting diseases, and it is through self-healing power. But there are some healings definitely without any cause, and he started believing in God and prayer and all that. That quotation is there. There is no time to show that. We go to that is that prayer effect. Quotation can you tell? Yeah. Okay. Show the influence of mind on body. Man is spiritual being with a human experience. This is an insight of the great scientist Theodore Chardin, who was part of the finding out Peking man in China, a paleontologist. So he, the insight into the man is a spiritual being with a human experience, not the human being with spiritual experience. So there is a reality. So one day or other, man is going to become a spiritual being. It is part of inner self. That is a vital force and all that detail. Then mystics and Maharishis in our own tradition enter into an altered state of consciousness. See, there is a different type of functioning in brain, diffuse and discrete state of brain. So when brain comes to the diffuse state, he experiences where he experiences themselves as one with the universe and God. So Upanishad literature came to that conclusion and finally wrote about that principle, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi. അത് നീയാണ്. ദൈവത്തെ അന്വേഷിച്ച് പിന്നെ കരയും കടലും കടന്ന് പോകേണ്ട കാര്യമില്ല കേട്ടോ. God is in you. And homeopathy doctors can realize that very easily by dealing with so many people. They are suffering, their difficulties, and at the same time, this craving for love. And when the love is given, they get healed. And finally, they come to that. Then Arabindo, in Pondicherry, you might have heard about. He is like the Yardashardan, and deep insight into the evolutionary process of the universe, and predicts of man evolving to higher state of truth consciousness and spirituality. Consciousness is the spiritual aspect of the brain, or the immaterial functioning of the brain. So that is connected with the supreme love and the truth. Love is truth. Truth is love, and God is love. A disciple of Jesus told about God is love. The deep experience of God. And this cannot be proved in the lab or anything. There is a in vitro, in vivo difference. Whatever is proved, the principles of chemistry and physics cannot be applied to the living. There is a biological uniqueness and difference. So in vitro experience cannot be exactly applied to the in vivo. So these are accepted principles. So people truth to consciousness, consciousness and spirituality. Then Homeo uses energy level, uh, Homeo uses energy level medicines, greater freedom in the inert matter. Matter is not the final truth. Matter is going to be changed to energy and to black hole. So that is this year's Nobel Prize given to that findings. So and thus rising healthcare to higher state of evolution to spiritual consciousness level, and consciousness is the fulcrum of health. So we are lucky and you are blessed. You are instruments of God for bringing His love and healing to the whole organism, not only human beings, but as the doctor tells me, to the agriculture and to all organisms. Indeed, this, and they also evolve into this love, and they come out from the evolved from the love and craving for love. So these are things, some more thoughts which I, and finally I gave a quotation of Theodore Chardin. Truth is indeed that love. Truth is indeed is that love is the threshold of another universe. Beyond the vibrations with which we are familiar, in quantum theory and all that, the rainbow-like range of its colors is still in full growth. So people, through your homeopathy, those people who are there, this spiritual energy, this is the photo I just took it, and this friend, boy who is helping me, he took it that, and that in the name of all those evolved persons through homeopathy, in their name, I thank all of you. Good, please. Okay. I think this time, no? Sorry if it is prolonged and there is any difficulty. For the first time I am getting into this kind of, though in my field I speak well, but here it is little. So, now what?
You can speak little more. Our next participant is yet to enter, so you can take little more time if you have something more to say.
Any
Next is Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is
pardon?
not yet ended.
How much time takes?
You can take 15 more minutes if you want.
So, what are the points? You can ask anything clarification, and that may be better, because I have so many things in my head. You start talking, you may not fully complete. So, any point to be cleared? What is your evaluation? Does it help you?
There are many comments in favor of you, Father.
Okay.
Father Doctor.
Thank you. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Maybe his intention to stimulate all the homeopaths, because you are his instrument. Thoroughly, I am fully convinced. So please don't get discouraged by all these nonsense. Those who do know that truth, they will speak a lot of opinions. That don't bother about. And even was criticized very badly. And,
you are given much more information about this one.
Okay.
Much more. We are all satisfied. We are all educated through which you are speak.
Yes. So
I'm Dr. Ismail Seth.
Thank you, God. Thank God for that. Yes, when I was in Trivandrum, I think you had come there for some time. Then for Calicut also I had come. I met you some different, because I have memory is little bad, so I cannot recall all that. Then, the call of the physician is, see, the whole, in the history of mankind, what we see is, some people are used by the supreme love to communicate. From his love only everything came out. And that is why all the craving in every human being is for love. And he is like a father. God is like a father. In my experience, I feel he is like a, in Malayalam, Tangappatappana. That's why. So you are all his instruments. Don't take it simply like a profession. He is doing great things through you. Because so many people are in the whole, So that way, get into right spirit of while practicing. Since we are human beings, we have so many interests and needs, as I told, the Maslow's basic physiological needs, like food, clothing, then a residence for security, then other things. Most of the people are busy with these basic physiological needs. This is to higher level of love, esteem, and that kind of thing is very often people don't get, because everybody. Then another thing, I told, see, love is the rainwater. When it comes, it is a pure drops of water. But when it mixes ground, it becomes muddy water. So like that, the divine love that is thrown into us, and we are formed through the medium of parents, and when we go to the body, then the selfishness also accumulated in us. See, so that way, that love which is in the deep inner aspect of us, we contaminated with the selfishness, and it becomes like muddy water. As homeopathic doctor, through your practice of this and this struggling with the patients to understand, to get to the remedy, your selfishness is melting away. As the water flows through the rivers and finally goes back into the ocean, so we are flowing through this rivers of this our professional services. Through that, selfishness is melted out. Then you become really human. You are really noble, great. And then evolution taking place. This is the purpose of whole evolution. This present universe is a transitory thing. Stephen Hawking. And then another thing is, see, Milton. Milton is, you might have heard about, he is deaf, blind. Beethoven is deaf and Milton is blind. But there are world famous classics are formed by them. I forget the name. But the Paradise, Lost Paradise of Milton and Beethoven's music. So the body, there is a saying, it is spirit that gives life, flesh has nothing to do. Please, friends, will remember that. Flesh has nothing to do. It goes through all these process of, the disintegration of matter into energy and all that. Finally, see, we are, so it is spirit that gives life. That is the inner force that you, and they were blind, but still they produced the greater masterpieces of the literature. So that is why the spirit that gives life, not to the flesh, not to the matter. So go to the level of life, spirit, love, and hope, all that. Not to get into the meat. Then we are going to the level of the other lesser organisms. Everything. There are so many things being misused in this because of these addictions and pleasure loving. There are some pleasure centers in the brain, and those pleasure centers are getting, brain adaptation takes place because when you are attached to pleasure and to go into that, mobile pleasure or media pleasure or money pleasure or eating habits, so many things. The pleasure, if you enjoy without control pleasures, then we are getting succumbed to the matter level, and finally it will get disintegrated. Our existence will become useless. I have not, I have lived in vain. This is the experience we are going to have at the end. I have lived in vain. But we have to say, I have not lived in vain. I think anyone told us, there are many great men have told, I have not lived in vain. This should be the experience at the last moment of our death. And then look ahead through the in the first slide, this boy who helped me put his is a nice boy, and that tunnel, like, going to the black hole and finally going to the other level. And Stephen Hawking tells about even there is a rays of light coming out through the black hole, but because of the energy is condensed into the point, and so everything is, there is no gravitational, and because of the terrific gravitational force, the light cannot come out.
Infinite gravity.
Infinity gravity. Yes, the black hole is of infinity gravity. So everything is, so matter is completely will be absorbed into that. This is going to be the end of the universe, Stephen Hawking. But he is telling matter is, energy is not waste or remade. So it will take another form, a new earth and heaven. That is the Western literature tells about that. See, human, the wisdom and the truth knowledge doesn't come in one particular science. We may be PhD in that, but what do we know? This is like earlier elephant story. 4 blind men went, and while one got up this one, you know that, no? So like that, we are all like boasting about the other things, but we don't know. With the 3-pound supercomputer, what do we know? Even that computer, we do not know how it works, and the lot of research about the brain, the consciousness, and all these working of shows that. And this observer effect is a very important factor. See, whatever man with his limited life experience and his research, he is going to find only the little. And then Isaac Newton, he had a quotation. I am able to see further because I stand in the shoulders of giants who have gone ahead of me. That's what he told. He was a humble man. He accepted. And all these great scientists, after reaching a certain amount of maturity, they begin to accept the supreme love. No? Einstein and Heisenberg in his deathbed, he told about, he was telling, I want to ask God when he goes there, why relativity, why turbulence? Very important words. He is experienced through his research, he experienced why relativity, and that was to a certain extent cleared by Einstein and Faraday and Thomson and other people. But then still, now a lot of criticism is going to Einstein itself. No, that is goes I deviated from the subject. So, Heisenberg, the most important uncertainty principle, he tells about, he says, I want to ask when you go there, why turbulence? Turbulence is a word as a result of chaotic theory. The universe started with chaos, everything, and then turbulence. And from the turbulence really formed these material galaxies and the stars and other things. And it will again go back. These are all transitory things. We don't catch hold of little glimpses of this one and finally, speak sometimes we speak about nonsense, and we die for that. Please, with great love for you, I tell, don't be. Go search for truth, wisdom, through continuous contact with these patients. You begin to, they teach us. Once an old lady came to and telling, when we have to suffer through great, life of struggles and sufferings, a grown-up lady tell, and she taught me. I was scared of suffering and other things. Whether you like it or not, you have to suffer. Sahanam illar vitya. There is a truth of life. They experienced. So through your patience will teach you wisdom in many places. So goes into that. So the point I was telling is, another thing is that there is, first of all, a new physics, Newtonian physics and the quantum physics. There is a lot of difference. Newtonian physics comes to the higher quantum numbers. Higher quantum numbers, Newtonian physics will work. Nothing is waste. Everything has got some points of total. And the quantum physics brought out completely a paradigm shift in the scientific cycle, because everything is energy, everything exists in wave form, And then our Dr. Shaji, his dynamic theory tells about this vibration, this waves and all that. I forget all this, but there is a I could take that way. So that way there is. So there is a growing growth in the discovery of truth by whole humanity, and all different science contribute to that. So we should simply blindly criticize everybody. Everything has got element of truth. So respect, widen your horizon, and heart also should be widened. And then that you all very good chance for you, because what type of human beings you are dealing, and how interesting. See, their creativity, their uniqueness, and in that all that this. Chaotic theory means turbulence, and finally order comes out of that. So all these turbulence don't get upset. From their order is going to come. So also homeopathy. We will go through all the turbulence and criticism and this one and all, but finally you will succeed. You are part of the evolutionary process, and it's a great role in you. That is why it will call out the physician. Those who understand the call of physician will succeed, and hard work. And Ismail said and other people how much they have gone through life and how much people are healed, and this is all asset for us, not money, all that. So that way. Then, so difference between Newtonian physics and quantum physics. Now again goes towards the holographic theory, plasma theory, superstring theory, and then information theory. It goes like that. So these are all come when you study all these things, we come to know the greatness of homeopathy, and that man is a pioneer. And and whatever is spiritual, spirit is that life, give life. And so the deeper things, not the attractive things, the pleasure giving things and other things. So that way it will, homeopathy is great. Then so many other things they have collected, but then put together I was taking time, but the Shaji immediately told that you are present tomorrow. So I thank this boy, Jonathan. Jonathan is a 24-year-old boy. He is doing research in music aspect. He was studied in London, and now he has come home and doing. So I am very grateful to him, because I am an old man, not familiar with all these techniques. He is sitting here and helping me, so I thank him. I thank all of you. And as I told in the beginning, this homeopathic fraternity will grow into great things, and you are a great instrument for spreading this. But of course, remember that Hanuman had trials in his life, so also we should have. Everything will not go smooth. It is spiral. So spiral going. So there is the spiral, some go there and then one part comes down, then goes up. So it will be more boring if I go on lecturing. So, okay.